Kim here with Abundant Life Tarot. Welcome to my channel. Every year I put on a top 10 decks series. So I'm looking at mass market decks, indie decks, both tarot and oracle. And so the one that you're watching today is my top 10 mass market decks that I used a lot in 2022. Be sure to check out the other videos that I will have as a part of this series, because I will be discussing my indie decks, my mass market decks, and I'm adding a new category where I share with you some of my more shadowy type of decks that I use, or I gravitate towards using for my Mystery Mystic series. So without further ado, because we've got a lot to cover in these videos, I'm going to switch camera angles and we're going to get started looking at my top 10 decks. I should also say that we're going to start from 10 and work my way up to number 1. And I'm curious to see if you can guess what is my number 1 mass market tarot deck that I used a lot in 2022. Be sure to share what was the ones that you used a lot as well in this year in the comments section below. All right, let's get started. So before we do my top 10, I do have 2 honorable mentions. So the first one, I'm going to take it out of the bag here. It is the Tarot of Haunted House. Okay, this is a Los Scarabeo deck. The creator is Sasha Graham. Towards the end of the year, I started reconnecting with this deck again. Here's the card backs. I have lamented before how I wish that this was more of a bigger book, or perhaps that Llewellyn was the one that had been the one to publish this deck, but nevertheless it was not. And so what I love about it is that it's borderless, that there is a continuity of a story that is throughout the deck. There's a theme here, and I wanted to start employing this deck with my Mystery Mystic Monday type readings. So I did start playing with it and having some interesting readings with it. And I started using it just on readings for myself. Just quick little throws to, just kind of see what it do day to day on a predictive level. And it worked really well. So I really appreciate the quirkiness of the deck too. And I love the mood of it. The colors are just wow. So yeah, this is an honorable mention. Do you have this deck? Do you know about this deck? And what are your impressions of it? All right, let's move on to the next honorable mention. Next honorable mention is the Everyday Enchantment Tarot by Poppy Palin. And it's produced by Red Feather, which is a subsidiary of Schiffer Publishing. And the reason why it's an honorable mention is that one of our main tarot studies that we did in the Facebook group, Abundant Life Tarot group, was this deck. We deep dived into this deck earlier in the year. It has an amazing guidebook, amazing. And I fell in love with the deck because of the tarot study that we did in our private Facebook group. We do regular tarot studies where we focus in on one deck. So I encourage you to join the group, check it out, see if it works for you. I love deep diving with a deck and using it on a consistent basis with other people, and it just makes for a really magical experience. There's the card backs of that devil. And so yeah, I had to mention this deck. This had to be an honorable mention at that, because it definitely was a big part of my, reading experience this year. But it wasn't because I was using it a lot for client readings. It was because I was using it to dive into a study with other members of the group. I like that Magician. It's a great deck. I never got a chance to trim it like I have been saying I was going to during our study. We had a few live sessions or rooms in the Facebook group where I was going back and forth on whether or not I was going to trim it. In the end, I just did not get around to it. I'm super busy lately, so I don't want to rush it. I don't want to mess up. I know some people are like, well, you could just buy a new one, but it's not so easy when you live on an island and you know, I used to could just be like, oh, well, if I mess up, no biggie. And now, I don't know, but we'll see what happens. But I love this deck, and there's a part of me that wants to just keep it intact and just learn how to manage with the larger size. And then there's another part of me that's like, no, just cut off the extra and see how you get along with it without it. So we'll see. I'm not going to rush the decision, but that is the Everyday Enchantment Tarot, and that is my second honorable mention. Here's number 10. This is number 10 mass market tarot deck that I used a lot in 2022, or that I was really drawn to throughout the year. That is Shaheen Myro's The Uncommon Tarot. Okay, this is published by Wiser Books, and I keep it on my reading table, so I'm inclined to use it from time to time. It is not something that I'm called to grab with every reading. It's just not. I'll be frank and honest with you on that. But when I do read with it, I really thoroughly enjoy the messages that come through and pop through when you look through the art. Here's the Knight of Cups. It is collage style, and here's the Knight of Coins. I appreciate the coloring and that it's borderless. Not that being borderless is a huge requirement for me, but it helps. It's a good size for a tarot. It's traditional size, 7 of Wands. Hanged One, and it doesn't stray too far from Rider-Waite-Smith if that is your homeschool, tarot system, which is for me. Here's the 3 of Swords. I have a feeling I'm going to be using this deck a lot more. Like I said, I now keep it out and about so I can grab for it, as it can be one of the options that I work with when I'm doing client readings, or when I'm doing readings for Mystery Mystic Mondays, or just a quick reading for myself. Sometimes I use it as a study deck when I'm teaching others on reading the cards. So I don't know, it just feels so much more expensive than what it was. It's a mass market deck, but yet it feels like an indie deck with the images here. Here's the Magician. So yeah, check out the full flip through that I will link in the description box. If I have an unboxing or a deck flip through or a deck in focus video, I'll be sure to link it in the description box. But I am so excited to keep going with you all, so let's keep going. Let's move on to number 9. Okay, so this next one is number 9, and it is The Tarot of Mystical Moments by Katrine Welch-Stein. It is a US Game Systems deck, and yeah, I was a little surprised by this because all last year I didn't use it. It was in transport for months and stuck in customs. It was one of the decks that I had shipped from the US to the Dominican Republic, and it got stuck in customs. So I didn't get a chance to get to know it. I bought it in 2020, I believe, like at the end of 2020 or sometime in 2020, and then didn't use it at all in 2021, or till maybe a few readings in 2021. And then this year was when I really started to spend some time with it. It is gilded, silver gilding, and it's a little larger than the standard tarot size, which, some people may or may not appreciate. I don't mind it. It's still easy to handle. And let's talk about it. It has this little guidebook. So check out the flip through I've done on this deck. I'm just going to go through a few cards so you can get a feel for it. It's very whimsical. 10 of Pentacles, and I appreciate it very much for the whimsy of it all. Queen of Cups, Page of Cups, Temperance. There's a little bit of a glare. 4 of Cups, Queen of Pentacles, Seven of Wands. I like that Seven of Wands. Here's the Magician. I mean, it's just so magical and just dreamlike, and I really like it for that. The Moon. But yet, you know, you can still get a feel of some of the traditional meanings. However, every time I see the Six of Pentacles, I literally think it's the Two of Cups. If I didn't look at the Six of Pentacles at the bottom, like if this was blocked off, I think Two of Cups. Every time. Here's the Ace of Wands. And Two of Pentacles. And King of Swords. So yeah, check out the full flip through. For time's sake, oh, one more. For time's sake, I'm gonna move through these quickly. Queen of Wands, focus for me. Yeah, gorgeous. Y'all know I'm into peacock feathers, so of course this is a draw for me. Peacock feathers. Anyone? All right, so that is my number 9 deck. Let me know what you all think about this deck in the comments section below. So we're now at number 8. So the next one is the Sun and Moon Tarot by Vanessa DeCourt. This is also a US Game Systems deck. It is quite beat up. Look at this. Look at the 10. Very beat up. It lives in my tote, my purse tote that I carry. And so if I have downtime, I shuffle with this deck. And because it's in a 10, that's probably why it lives in my bag. And I like it that way. So I edged it, although it needs to be re-edged in black. Here's the card backs. And I love the size of it. Love, love, love. It's super handy. Okay, so it is cloth base, and it comes with a great little white book. There is a full-size edition of this deck through US Game Systems, but I preferred this version because it was in the 10 and because I like the black border versus the white border on this deck. So look at all that writing for the devil and Tower and the Stars. So there's a lot of good information in the guidebook. Let's see. Here is Temperance. Whenever I pull this out for friends or clients that are face-to-face clients and I'm going to them to do the reading, they just really, really love this deck. They really do. Three of Swords. Trying to get it to focus. Four of Cups. I get so happy when I see it too. Seven of Swords, and it's, you know, it doesn't hold back any punches in terms of delivering messages that need to be sent, need to be received as well. King of Cups, but it also has a gentle voice. And since I do take this out and about with me, and sometimes when I say, oh, I'm a tarot reader, people ask, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm a reader. And they're like, what? Oh, can you pull a card for me? So I'll bust this out. The Sun. Isn't that beautiful? Here's Five of Wands. And I've not once felt the need to get the bigger version. This works just fine. Nine of Wands. I will see if I have a video. I think I have like a compilation US Game Systems video that included this deck. I may do a revised US Game Systems collection video in the future because, of course, my collection has grown. And so I would like to share with you all an updated version. I'll have to put that on my list of must record in the future list on my spreadsheet. Here's Three of Pentacles. So yeah, that is the Sun and Moon Tarot. Okay. Number 7 is the Spirit Within Tarot by Stephen Bright. This is also a Red Feather deck, subsidiary of Schiffer Publishing, and I've had this deck for a good long while. You will tell by how beat up the box is. I use this deck primarily during this time of year as one of the parts of my New Year's readings that I do for clients and myself. So I do sometimes bust this deck out during other parts of the year, but for some reason, this particular deck works well for a particular spread that I use at New Year's readings time. So sometimes we have decks in our collection that is just for a specific purpose, and this would be it. But I have to tell you all, this is a fantastic deck in terms of readability. If you are new to tarot, this is one to consider getting. And I don't know, like some people need to see the facial expressions, and I go back and forth on that for myself. But for some reason with this deck, I don't have that need at all. It just works. It just works, and it reads so well and so clear. Here's the Empress. It's one of my favorite decks, to be honest. It really is. I wish Red Feather, the publisher, had produced this same size. I still really love this size of the deck, but maybe a not so glossy version. But again, you know, I'm gonna sweat it, and I ain't gonna worry about it. I'm gonna still use it even if it's glossy. I've been loving on this deck for a really, really long time. Every year, it's gonna probably make the list because every year, this time of year, I'm busting it out for those readings, those particular readings. Here's Temperance. So yeah, that is my Spirit Within Tarot. Okay, so here's number 6. It is the Hoodoo Tarot. I have the box, I have the book. Produces this. This is Destiny Books. I'm not too familiar with them as a publisher, but so far so good. I mean, this is a sturdy box. If you all are have been a part of my channel for a long time, you know that I have been working with this deck for a good long while now. Many of you have been a part of the Hoodoo Tarot study that we did as a part of Abundant Life Tarot group on Facebook. And so we had an amazing deep dive. It was one of my more popular tarot studies, and people still to this day come back come to the Facebook group because of wanting to work with it some more, and they still can. The tarot studies that we do in the Facebook group are designed to be evergreen, meaning people can start it or stop it at any time in the future. So I'll just take it out of its cute little bag. I am still in love with this deck. Love the size, love the back, so this is the south, so it's reversible. What can I say? I use this deck primarily for ancestral readings that I do for myself. I do not use this deck for client readings. I'm not called to. I think I tried, and I thought about getting a second deck just for client readings or for readings outside of myself, but so far I haven't. I've just been using this deck for readings, for communicating with my ancestors. And when I'm in need of messages and they know I speak the language of tarot, I pull this out. And when I want to convey something to them, I read scriptures from the Bible, because many of my folks was Christian, so my ancestors. So yeah, I am so in love with this deck. I still am to this day. I'm hoping to do a mini study next year in the Facebook group where we deep dive into this deck. Right now we are deep diving into another deck. But yeah, here's the Freeman. I have a ton of videos too, by the way. Because of the tarot study, there's a ton of videos on the channel discussing the various cards in the Hoodoo Tarot, like the majors, and also working with the deck and all the ways that we were working with it, journal and spread prompts that we made for it. So yeah, it's just an amazing amazing deck. As I flip through it, I just still fall so much more in love with it with each flip. The big house, traditionally the tarot, or the tower of the tarot. The tower of the tarot. Five of coins. So I'll stop flipping through here. That is the Hoodoo Tarot, and I am still, like I said, I'm still quite smitten with it after all this time of having it. Let me know what you think about this deck in the comments section. Okay, so the next one is the Herb Crafter's Tarot. Yes, it is. And not just because we've done a tarot study on it before, and we're actively right now, as of December 12th, doing a mini tarot study in the Facebook group with it. I mean, that alone probably is why I had to add it to my top 10 decks for 2022. But there's something so special about this deck, and let me be honest here. I'm not really into herbs. I don't have a green thumb, but yet and still, I'm able to manage to not just work with this deck, but to really glean a lot of great wisdom from it. And it does help when you are studying with folks together. Some people have different strengths that they know about herbs and plants, and they can see the correlation between the barrage plant and the six of water, or barrage herb, or we have six of earth, pine, right? And they can make those correlations, and there's crafting with the six of earth, and it's just really beautiful language here. You've got your key sentences, 3 sentences here in this little box, and then they go into a bit more depth. I am such a fan of this deck, and I've made a point of keeping it on my reading table so I could just pull a card a day, or when I'm doing my monthly, or not monthly, weekly journal and tarot spread prompts with it for the group, I just fall even more madly in love with this deck. This is a US Game Systems deck, and I have to say, US Games truly delivers. Here's the card backs. As of late, as of the last few years, there's one of my favorite mass market publishers, for sure. Ia of Earth, Linden. Yeah. So I am actively doing a mini tarot study in the Facebook group. And if you are curious about that, join or just ask some questions in the comment section below. But wow, even after the mini study wraps up, I am still probably going to keep it on my reading table and pull a card and have it sit with me for a few days on my reading table to just inspire me and to inform me. Here's Death. I love Death. It's got marigolds. Isn't that gorgeous? So that's number 5, you all, the Herb Crafter's Tarot. Okay, so now we're going to look at the Pharynx Pinter Tarot. This is number 4. Number 4. I love this deck. I use it primarily for my Mystery Mystic Monday readings, but there are times when I have used it in client readings, and I enjoyed what comes up. Now, I don't always feel called to use it in client readings because some of the images are a bit much, but they're not bad. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's just, there are certain decks I will use with certain clients, and so yeah. Y'all, if you're professional readers, you know what I mean. Here's the Queen of Coins, or Queen of Pentacles. Here's the card backs. Here's the 5 of Swords. It is a Los Scarabeo deck. Has a guidebook. Here's the Tower. Love this Tower very much. Love this 7 of Wands. You see that? There's the 7 of Pentacles. 4. I mean, this is an artist who, I think he was Hungarian, and there is some level of surrealism with his art style, and so this may not work for everyone, but it works for me. Here's the Hanged Man. He looks like Mr. Bean. Here's the Page of Cups. Let me show you. 9 of Wands. Judgment. It's a very smart deck. And I'm surprised I don't hear more people talking about it. Let's see if there's any others I want to share with you. I love this 8 of Swords. There's the Queen of Swords. 5 of Cups. Death. The Fool. And the Star. I love the World. So yeah, one of my favorite decks for sure. And I got it last year, I believe. Can't recall. But ever since I got it, I just love pulling it out and just sometimes just going through the art. And it's the guidebook is written, the text I should say, is written by Charles Harrington. He is a great writer in terms of the card meanings, and so it's just a worthwhile dive into when you have the guidebook here, you know. So for me, this was a win when I added this deck to my collection. That is, what did I do here? That is the Ferenc Pinter Tarot. So this next one you can get on Amazon, and honestly, this is just one brand of many of this type of deck. So if this sells out, there's always another one that's like it, just so you know, a little FYI. And that is the tarot with meanings on them. It literally says that, tarot cards with meanings on them, tarot. This particular brand is the Sincera's tarot deck. And this deck is so beat up, I'm almost embarrassed to show you all, but I use it all the time. It really honestly should be my number one, to be honest with you. And I'm a seasoned reader, so it's not like I need them, but sometimes when you're working like the hotlines, for example, and you're tired, or you're doing just any old client reading, or you're reading for yourself, you just want to see different like clues here that might help add a little bit further depth to your reading. For example, you see the number 3, and that might have some significance to you. We have the 3 of Pentacles. It has the upright and the reverse. I don't think I did a flip through, but I did do a video discussing tarot decks with keywords and how that can help folks, whether you are new or seasoned as a reader. It can really help. And it has, you know, the element associated, the little element symbol. It says second decan, Capricorn. Earth element has some little symbol here that I don't know what that means. That's okay. I don't need to know it all. I get around just fine. But I use this a lot, and I use it also in conjunction with other tarot decks, and it just kind of adds a level of like clarity. Or sometimes I just use just this with some oracle cards. I really enjoy it, and I'm thinking about getting a backup copy and just using this one until it just crumbles in my hands. But I can. The thing about me is I do read professionally, so I do put a beating on some of the cards that I really, really resonate deeply with. And that's the key when you are reading the cards, either especially for reading for others, but also for yourself, is really, you know, working with a deck or 2 or 3 at the most, and getting to know that deck and having a real full understanding of it inside and out. And yeah, it's gonna get worn. It's gonna happen. It's okay. It's okay. That's why mass market decks are so cool, because they make it so affordable to buy a replacement, right? Look at that. So it's just so bad. I'll probably be getting a backup copy soon. But what was cool about this deck is that it came with a beautiful bag, actually. And it came with some crystals. You can buy it without the crystals option. I would have, but that was all that was available at the time on Amazon. Yeah, so I just want the deck. I don't need all the bells and whistles. I just want the deck. But I thought I'd show you the box. And it's Sinceres is the name of the company that produced this particular one. I think there was another one on Amazon where people were complaining that there was misspelled words, and this one doesn't. I haven't found any errors like that in this particular copy. So yeah. All right, let's move on. Okay, so let's talk about this next one. The next one is the Smith-Waite Borderless Tarot, US Game Systems. I don't have the box, don't need the box. I mean, I probably have it, but I couldn't find it. And in some ways, I can be a traditionalist. Sometimes I'm called to use a traditional deck that is of my homeschool tarot system that I gravitate towards, which is, it's not Thoth. I don't gravitate towards the other systems. It's Rider-Waite Smith. So I like to go back and work with the deck that I learned on. And sometimes literally, whether it's a client reading, a reading for myself, or a Mystery Mystic Monday reading, it just speaks to me loud and clear, and it makes me happy when I have those moments with this deck. I also use this as a teaching deck when I'm teaching others how to work with tarot and learn how to, do tarot. This is one of those decks that I use. I have a jumbo size of the Rider-Waite Smith deck, the big cards, as a teaching deck as well, but sometimes I don't feel like handling those. I just pull this one out. So I use this more often than I probably discussed on the channel, because it's one of those decks that I take for granted. It's always around. I forget about it. It's not, it's not new and shiny, but it's very important to me. I can't speak for you and your collection, but for me and my collection, it is very important that it's in it. So I know some people are like, I can't stand it, and I can understand the reasons why, but there's many aspects to it that I enjoy. For example, having, the direction of this knight. He's facing this way, and in the spread, it could be speaking to something else in that whole spread, right? This horse isn't moving. This horse is kind of standing still. And how does that inform me on the card meanings? You see what I'm saying? So I take all of that into account, even the coloration of the cards. I like that US Games made this borderless. I even like the color of the card backs. So it just feels like sometimes I can tell when I have a client who is maybe new to tarot readings and it might excite them to see a traditional deck, I pull this out. I listen to my intuition though on which decks to go with. So yeah, that's my number two. My number two. Can you all guess what my number one is? Drum roll. It to number one. Number one. I always say last couple of years, I'm like, oh, you probably already can guess what number one is. For my number one mass market tarot deck of 2022 that I use incessantly, that I loved on, that I could not imagine my reading table not having it, all of that. Drum roll. It is my Light Seers Tarot. I know some people can't stand this deck. Some people just absolutely adore it. I am in the club that absolutely adores this deck. This is like my third or fourth copy. I beat this one up as well, as you can see the crease. but it delivers. It just delivers. And I'm not going to back down from it being my number one. We'll see how next year fares. Maybe next year there will be a deck that bumps it off. The top spot. I am planning to use my indie version of this deck to see how I get along with it, and because I'm hoping, it's way better quality. Maybe it'll hold up a lot better than what I've been doing on these Hay House decks. I've been putting a hurting on these Hay House decks. I just wish that they could have made this a slightly better card stock. I don't understand. Some of their subsequent tarot decks are on better stock. So I'm hoping when I buy another Lightseers Tarot to replace yet again another one that I beat up to filth, that it will be on better card stock. I don't think I'm asking too much because this is a glorious, glorious deck. I enjoy reading with it. My clients love the images. It's just so easy for me to read with. I did kind of retire it this year because I not retired it, but during the autumn, I have a different deck. I use the Slow Tarot a lot for readings for clients. So this one gets a little break, but not for long because I did use it a couple of times today in some readings. So she back. Yeah, the Lightseers, I'm sorry. I am thoroughly, thoroughly impressed with Chris and Donnelly's work. And this is one of my absolute favorite decks that she's created. And I have a few of her decks. And I don't see me not using this anytime soon. We'll see. I've been trying to use many of the decks that I have in my collection. I am going to continue that effort next year, but I'm also going to be real with myself. Like, I want really beautiful readings to come out of my little body. So if that means that I have to use a deck that I really gotten to know and to love and to cherish, and it's beat up, and that's what it is. That's just what it is. I'm not going to compromise on that. And I'm not going to be inauthentic with you all and just be like, let me just throw up a different deck just for safe measure. No, I'm letting you know my number one deck that I use over and over and over throughout the year was this deck. Some people just want the truth of the matter. They don't want this is the new decks that you got and you hardly worked with it. What good is that? I'm sharing with you decks that have delivered like bang on readings time and time again. I can count on these decks. I can read them with confidence. I can read the cards with confidence when I get these decks on the table. So, it's my number one. What can I say? What was your number one? What's your number one for 2022? Were you surprised by some of the decks that I had? Do you recall some of the ones I had from last year's list? I'm curious to hear from you. What was on your list? What did you use a lot in terms of your mass market tarot decks? Stay tuned. I'm going to be doing Oracle next, my mass market Oracle. And then I'm just going to go down the line of Indie Tarot, Indie Oracle, and then my Mystery Mystic Monday series deck. So I'll be talking about those too. So more to come, friends, more to come. Do me a favor on your way out. Please hit the like button. I really want to hear from you in the comments section. And also, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe because, I would love to have you. I'd love to have you in my little family. All right, friends, just catch up with you later. Take good care of yourselves. Thanks for watching my top 10 video. Bye for now.